I'm Christian Abbott.
I'm Nathan Lavender.
I'm Sean Abbott. And this is the Red Mist Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Red Mist Podcast, Season 3, Episode 41. Buckle up, Christian. You're going to love this one. A 1979 Kramer Racing Porsche 935 K3. Victorious overall at Le Mans.
Yeah,
driven by Klaus Ludwig and the Whittington brothers.
That's very good.
Second place went to Dick Barber, the late great Rolf Stomlin, and some movie actor named Paul Newman.
Yeah, just some movie actor.
Yeah, just some movie actor. Anyways, that was my day just became brightened by that.
Yeah.
Love those cars. Love that race, but love those cars. I got to see him race here much. Anyways, moving on. We will talk about NASCAR, the South Point 400. Not such a great race, but we'll get into it. F1. I thought it was a fantastic weekend of racing.
Yeah, no problem for me.
Nope. We will address controversy. We will address that.
There's no controversy. It's just racing.
I know. But to the McLaren people, there was controversy.
No. There is no controversy ever in F1. I don't know what gives you this idea that there's controversy.
Okay, right. We will touch on the season finale of the ELMS, the 4 Hours of Portimao.
Yes.
I actually was able to watch that this weekend. Very exciting. I watched a lot of the support races of that race weekend.
Oh, I did not.
My new favorite series. Well, I love the Le Mans Cup, okay, because it's LMP3 GT3. I love that.
Oh, are you?
But
is it the Ligier Cup?
The Ligier Trophy Series is the best. It is fantastic.
I like.
You have the Ligier GT cars, and then you have their kind of I'm almost going to call it LMP4 car, because it's not quite an LMP3 car, but it's an LMP4 car, but it is awesome racing.
It is. I just that quote unquote LMP4 car you're talking about, I forget the actual name of it, but
yeah, I know.
It's a little odd looking.
It's odd, but it works.
But I mean, I guess that's what you get with the French build.
What if you had a race weekend that comprised the Ligier Cup, and you did this in the United States, right? So you have their LMP4 car and the GT3 car, but then you paired it with the VW Fun Cup. How many cars do you actually think you would get in the United States? For the VW Fun Cup, it'd be over 100 cars. I hate to say it.
Well, I think you could get if the cars were popular over here.
Yeah.
To be run, yeah, you'd get a lot. But I'm just trying to think of like the equivalent, and
the closest that comes to anything over here is MX-5.
Yeah.
If you combine, like if you had MX-5, the VW Fun Cup, and the Ligier Series, you don't need spectators, because you would actually make money by the number of entrants that were in that series.
Right.
It may actually, I hate to say it, it would put national go-karting out of business probably. Because the price point on all those, outside the Mazda series maybe, The price point of the VW Fun Cup to run a series of that, if you were just running as a driver and paying, would be less than what you were paying to run friggin', a national level go-kart.
I'm just trying to think, like, the closest thing to VW Fun Cup that I can come up with is having, like, a Legends car on road.
Possibly, yeah.
So, I mean, like, that would be... Granted, I think the VW bug is probably a little bit bigger than the Legends car. However, if you're just trying to get a reference of what it's equivalent.
Anyways, I'm just saying. It was entertaining watching that stuff on Friday and Saturday.
Support races have a lot more entertainment than
than
the main race. I will say, except for IMSA and WEC. I think that's those.
The top level, level races are really good. Even though there's times when the Lamborghini race or the Porsche or the Mustang or the Michelin Pilot race is awesome. I mean, it's tough to say, but yes, at the high level there, those support races too that can do that.
Yeah,
I know we saw the LMP, the Le Mans Cup the first year at Le Mans, and we were like, "This is cool."
Yeah, and that's LMP3 and GT3 cars.
So it was cool. All right. Anyways, then we'll do some news and notes, and we'll look ahead to Mexico with picks. Hope Seaman Nate get his picks in.
Yes, I think he did.
He did. All right. He cannot pick Pato. Pato is only practicing the car.
That's right. I forgot about that.
You know what? This is going to be awesome. Because I don't think Red Bull's running a practice driver. So the question is, in practice, is Pato going to be faster than Sergio?
And that could be a legit concern.
Talking point.
Yeah.
Yep. Just want to put that out there. Anyways.
Yeah, and they haven't... Actually, that's a good note. I don't even know if any of them have put in the reserve driver yet. Because they only have...
I thought Red Bull did, but...
If they have to, they only have Mexico, Vegas, and Abu Dhabi to do it, and I don't think you're going to do it.
You can't do it at Brazil?
No, you can't do it at Brazil or Qatar because those are sprint races.
Oh, sprint race weekends. Okay.
So you have. I mean, you really only have Mexico or Abu Dhabi because I don't think they really want to pass up track time on Vegas.
No, I don't either, and I think I want to think that they might Red Bull did, but we can dig into that for next week. All right, that's a good point. All right, let's get started. NASCAR. Overall, race started good. The eight in the chase were up front, picking their way through. Christopher Bell was definitely the lead car throughout the race weekend. He was fast all weekend. I think Larson was kind of saving it for the race. I mean, he qualified in the top 10, but I just don't. I think he's kind of the mind. I got to get the car to the race, and then in the racing, you just go what happens. So that's kind of where he was. Everybody else was, it was hair on fire. As the race broke down, we had a early yellow when Austin Dillon tangled with Heinrich. Apparently, they're best friends off the track. Well, I don't know if they're best friends anymore. Mm-hmm. It was a hard hit for young Austin, who was in the Boot Barn Chevrolet. Whatever that is. Anyways, that necessitated a bunch of yellows. And then Tyler Reddick took the first stage. We go to stage 2. And this is where things got interesting. We had an incident with some of the contenders. Chase Elliott being one, Dave Blaney being Ryan Blaney being another, and then Tyler Reddick got caught up in it, and skidded through the infield, and in typical NASCAR track fashion, where we decide that we have to have a racetrack go through the middle of the infield and create a lip, hit the lip and flipped. And that essentially ended his race. He was able to drive the car. It landed back on its wheels and drive the car back to the pits. But let's put it this way: 3 of the 4 corners were out of skew. We move on to later in the stage. Pit stops happen, and then Larson, pit crew, lets him down. So we change the tires on the right side of the car. We go to the left side, but the rear gun guy decides that, oh, the jack went down. I'm all done here. He goes around, and then fortunately the wheel carrier goes, yeah, the nut's not on, and they had to come around and do that. Meanwhile, he forgot that in the chaos there, he had a brain fade, forgot to change the left rear tire. So they had to go out, come around again, and put the new left rear on. So that was essentially Kyle's race there. So thanks to the Hendrick pit crew and their crack staff there. That was awesome. So Kyle has to look forward to one of the next 2 races to get to the final. From that point on, it was a race with Bell, Daniel Suarez, who's not in the finals, and Logano and William Byron. Bowman was kind of closing on this whole thing, but it was really Logano, Bell, and Suarez along with Byron. Suarez was leading, had a substantial lead. Unfortunately, he had pitted first, so his fuel mileage was compromised. So he was kind of nursing it towards the finish. He was a sitting duck for both Logano and Bell. And then basically Logano was on a huge fuel save. And Bell was on fresh tires and more fuel, and he was running them down. If this went, say 425 miles, it would have been Bell. But it went 400, and Logano wins. So Logano, in typical Penske fashion, is in the finals somehow.
Hold on, where did I put it?
Not sure if I like that, but he was out, he was in, now he's in the finals.
So the guy who is 15th in the points,
overall points,
is now.
But he qualified for the playoffs.
Yeah,
and he had a win.
And then the two of the top 3 are in must-win scenarios to have a chance.
Yes. Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah. But, according to the NBC, announce team, this is what the playoffs are all about.
Right, clearly. Because I know every other racing series works like this.
Yes, exactly. Well, supercars will next year.
Yeah, I'm not.
Not good.
Yeah.
This isn't good. But anyway. All right. So that's where we're at. Don't know if you want to talk about point standings. We can, just real quick. Just take a look at the top 8.
Logano's in. That's all that matters.
Well, yeah, but I think we need to look at the. So it's right now. Yeah. So here's the best part. Logano goes from 8th to 4th overall, but he's in the finals. Because he won. Bell moved up 1, Larson down 1, and they're on the outside looking in. Along with Byron, Hamlin, Reddick, Blaney, and Chase Elliott. Makes complete sense to me.
Yep.
All right. Anyways, let's see. Next week, we're in Homestead next week.
Should be a good race.
Should be a good race. I will spend my weekend watching the Mazda MX-5s at where are they at? They at Martinsville or North Wilkesboro?
Martinsville. They're at Martinsville. This is the exhibition race. This weekend. Right. This weekend, it's the race. Hold on. Because we talked about this last week. What I need to get this. Oh, and the modifieds are at Martinsville this weekend too.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm very excited. Big modified race. Are the trucks there?
I
Are they there the NASCAR weekend?
think that's NASCAR weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was.
What are you looking for? The entry list?
I'm looking for the schedule of what's up.
Wouldn't it be on the IMSA website?
Hold on, I got it. All right. Martinsville hosts a IMSA race on Saturday, October 26th, with 100 laps for the MX5 series at 6 p.m. And it's gonna be a doubleheader night of racing, where it'll also feature the championship race for the Whelen Modified Tour.
And that's the national tour, not the Northeast tour.
That's
the national tour.
200 lap event at 7 p.m. All right, that'll be fun.
Should they push that out to 8? Because I think they need about 2 hours to clean up.
Well, we'll see.
I'd like to know I'd like to know who's running.
The winner of the MX5 race gets $15,000, and it's an exhibition race.
Really?
Yeah. Like, again, exhibition, or I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. Not only do they win $15,000 from Mazda,
they get a clock.
They get a clock.
Yeah, they get the clock.
And then
it's the same clock that they get the NASCAR guys get.
And then and then
it's the best. It's the friggin' best trophy.
Second is going to get $5,000. Third, $4,000, and then you get payouts down to 10th place. So top 10 get a payout. That's pretty good.
Are they letting Connor Zilich run in this?
I've no idea. I don't have a.
You can't find the entry list.
Hold on, let me look up the entry list.
I swear to God, Dale Jr. is running under some he's running some fictitious name.
All right, I'll let you know. We can continue if I find it.
All right. Okay. All right, let's move on to Texas. Yes, Texas. Austin, Texas. And Dakota for the Formula One sprint weekend.
Yes.
So several teams bring upgrades. One team did not, of the major players. Also, the debut of Liam Lawson as he replaced Daniel Ricciardo at VCARB.
Yep. He is back.
He's back. We had I'm not going to go on a rant about the sprint weekends, but the one drawback is just they really need an extra practice somehow.
I mean, that's it's 50-50 on how you approach that, because in one sense it gives teams less time, but I mean, obviously, like, if you come out of the box swinging, like, that's great. But if the teams that are gonna hit it more likely are gonna be the top teams.
Right.
With that said, Mercedes was not.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, they were, but they weren't. Because George put down. I mean, just to kind of fast forward a bit, George did put down a great sprint qualifying lap time, but then the car fell apart in the race, and there was no other long pace running to adjust.
Right. I mean, the Red Bull looked much better than it had it previously, and that was at least on the medium tires, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they ran the hards in the practice. I think they were running mediums and softs. And then obviously in the sprint qualifying, I think you had to run medium and soft, right?
Yeah, you have to run medium for the first 2 sessions, and then you can run
and then
soft in the
soft,
the
and
final, I guess.
then it's either a medium and soft tire in the sprint race, right?
Yeah, I mean you could.
Usually, it's the more durable tire.
Yeah, yeah. There's not. It's not really a long enough race that you're going to want to put the hard on. Um,
Yeah,
but it is just long enough that it makes you question putting on the softest tire. So usually everyone ends up with the medium tire on, which is it's good but it's bad because then it just locks everyone into the same tire, so you don't get a difference really unless you have one team where they'll try and take a shot at it, which I think there
yeah.
was some at Austria. Was that where they did a sprint
Hmm.
race? And you could see like it paid off a little bit at the start, but it started to hurt a few guys towards the end, which
Right.
is that's what you want to see out of it. But it doesn't seem to be. It seems to be a clear direction of just pick the medium tire and then that's it. And
Hmm.
if you just unless you know that the race is you're not going to score points in that sprint race, then you just throw whichever tire on it is, throw a change on the car, and just go out and have a test
Gotcha.
session at that point.
Gotcha. Yep.
So,
Yep. Oh, completely understand that. So George got pole, right? No, Max got pole.
no, Max got pole in the
Max got pole
sprint
in the
race.
sprint qualifying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then George was second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good lap time from him.
It was Chicago third. No, Carlos. Was it no?
No.
Who was it?
I think it was Charles. No,
Was third?
Lando third.
Oh, Lando
Charles
was third.
fourth.
Charles was fourth. Okay.
Carlos fifth.
Right. Is that right?
We are checking.
I think.
Hold on, I got it right here.
I don't know. I think it was the other way around. I think Lando was fourth and Charles was third.
Yes, no, you're right.
Because Charles was
now-
fourth, and the fourth wasn't the start of the race. Yeah.
All right, it was Verstappen, Russell, LeClerc, Norris, Sainz, Hulkenberg sixth,
The Hulk, yeah.
Hamilton seventh, eighth
Right.
Magnussen, ninth
Yep.
Tsunoda, and Colapinto 10th. Outside looking in for the top 10 was Perez, Gasly, Stroll, Alonso, and Lawson.
Right.
So, storyline of sprint qualifying, or I guess the top two is McLaren did not lead, and Perez got beaten by Tsunoda in an inferior car.
Yeah.
And it
Pretty
wasn't
much
like
it.
Lawson was far off either, but I think his lap time was deleted.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. And then Albon had a horrendous.
Colapinto is really
Yeah,
giving it to Albon.
he's starting to put it. He's starting to put it to Albon now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So as the sprint race took off, go up the hill. Max holds Russell off and drives off. Lando makes a phenomenal start from fourth. Puts some early pressure on Max, but unfortunately, not enough. He stays within DRS zone for a bit, but then Max just kind of pulled away.
Yeah.
Essentially, what happened there.
Nothing like a crazy cakewalk either. Like he only eked out
No.
2 to 3 seconds.
But it was enough of a margin.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, whereas Carlos went on full attack mode.
Yeah.
And drove in a fantastic race, I thought, personally. Taking it to his teammate, and then ultimately passing Russell, and then ultimately passing Lando.
Yeah.
Charles was. This is where I get with Charles. It's like I get it. He thinks, well, he's the number one driver for right now, but, it's like, just because you're number one doesn't mean you're immune to getting passed. I mean, if you're holding everybody up, you gotta, if your teammate thinks he can get by you, he's gonna go by you.
Yeah.
I hate to say it,
Yeah, and
So.
I mean, Sainz was clearly a lot more confident in the car at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
I mean, and looking back at the race as it unfolded, all the way through, I mean, honestly, Leclerc probably would have been better off just letting Sainz go and seeing if he could have a chance at really trying to reel in Verstappen towards the end. I mean,
Right.
I don't know if he would have gotten him, but
No.
it might have been closer than the 3.8 seconds that he finished behind him.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. The rest of the race was actually pretty. I thought vanilla. It was vanilla in that sense. Outside of Carlos kind of mucking his way through the field. I don't know. Anything stand out to you beyond that? Outside of those guys.
No, I mean, Alonso. There was some.
Oh, Alonso
thing
and
about
Lawson.
Alonso and Lawson, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The incident that I saw that I thought he was referring to didn't seem like much, so I just kind of put it to the side because, I mean, clearly Aston didn't have any pace this weekend.
Right. Yeah. No, they didn't. They did not.
I guess the other big thing was double points finish for Haas in the sprint race.
Yes. Right. Which is huge. But also, we'll get to it a little bit later too. That was huge for them.
Yeah.
So, and a good points finish for Ferrari,
Yes.
and it was a precursor to the finale. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Go to qualifying. Obviously, I think the Haas were the surprise at qualifying.
Yeah. I think
because Magnussen qualified well, but the surprise being that Hulkenberg didn't put it together.
Yeah, but I mean, he just barely missed out.
Right.
It wasn't like
that's true.
it was crazy either. I mean, Hulkenberg was only 7/100ths off of Magnussen, and Magnussen was the last one to get in. So, if Hulkenberg got in, then he would have came back. I mean, both of them needed a 10th to bounce Alonso. So I think the surprise for me in that qualifying was probably Gasly, because he put the car in a little bit more handily, and was up there compared to, and he beat Ocon by almost half a second.
That's right.
So
the most disappointing aspect obviously was Lewis.
Yeah.
I think he's right. I don't know. At one point it's like, guys, we got to do better. It's like,
yeah, you could tell that they missed on the setup or the upgrade.
They missed
in some way.
And then it was and then they just it was like, obviously, we're gonna mail it in, and then, so George went out, and then he goes out and he crashes in the third session.
Yeah.
And this is after Max went out. Lando went out, set fast. Lando set fast lap. Max was ahead, but I think he did the right thing. He played it cautious.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if I carry enough speed through there, I'm cautious and I get ahead. Then it puts the pressure on Lando, and I can know how much more I can go through that corner. So I thought he played it well, but it was just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, as we go out, George stuffs it into turn 19, and that ends everybody's qualifying. So essentially, everyone's frozen.
Yeah.
Where they were after the first run. The damage to the car necessitates Mercedes to work all night on that car. So he has to start from the pit lane.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, because they had put so many bodies on that car, they missed the fact that there was a broken suspension component on Lewis's car.
Is that what?
So
led to
yeah,
his-
so yes, exit. So
Yeah.
So this all came out in the wash over the last today. So we moved to the race. Lando on pole, Max second, George Max is second. Who's third?
Sainz.
Sainz, and then Leclerc was fourth.
Yep.
So as we go up into the turn, Max puts a hard rush on Lando. Lando goes wide. Carlos gets stuffed, and when I say stuffed, he gets stuck basically behind them, and George sweeps in from fourth and takes the lead. And it was a fantastic move.
No,
And then
Leclerc.
Leclerc, sorry, and
Yeah.
literally drove away from the field.
Yeah.
It's nothing else. The car was far superior.
Mhm.
It was on a great pace. Lando fell behind Max, and then Carlos was behind there. And then Carlos had an issue early in the race where he was saying he was smelling fuel in the cockpit. I don't know, something happened. They made some kind of adjustment, and that went away. And then Carlos started picking at picking at them. Did an undercut on Verstappen that worked out. He took over second. Max pitted to protect against Lando. Lando pitted. And then from then on, it was race on, except for up front because Charles was pulling away. The rest of the race, there was no other incidents other than the early incident on lap 2 with Lewis when he spun out of turn 19 and literally put it into the sand. And as I noted, it was attributed to a broken suspension component that was not cut because the team was in such a thrash to get George's car back together.
Yeah.
So, fine weekend of preparation by Team Mercedes. So, Toto, well done. Piastri coming up through the field. Magnussen made some runs to get up into the top 10. Calapinto did his thing. And then I think, Lawson and Yuki had an interesting battle.
Yeah, they weren't necessarily battling on track, but
each other.
But it was a interesting
battle for position,
team strategic
Yeah.
battle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And ultimately that fell the way of Lawson as
Yeah.
Yuki ended up slowing. So
Mhm.
he fell, ultimately a lap behind. So
well, he had a spin going into turn 1 too.
yeah. Oh, that's right. That's what put him. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Then we get to the end of the race. Obviously, Lando is coming through the field. Puts the pressure on Max. Now, this is the thing. I have to wonder sometimes, with Red Bull, they know the car's not good on the hard tires. It's don't you want to minimize the time on the hard tires? So that when they're really optimal, that's when the car is good. But as they wear off, the car becomes less, competitive.
Yeah, but they were also battling the issue of Verstappen's feedback on the medium tires, saying that he was losing grip more than he expected to.
And the day before, yeah. Okay.
So because he came on, I don't know, around lap 15, I think it was, somewhere between 10 and 15, he was complaining about the tires. So it was well, they'll come in and said that they were going to try and fix or make some adjustment when they switch over to the hards. But at that point, he had to hold out for a bit longer before even switching to the hards. Otherwise, he was going to commit himself to a 2-stop.
Yeah, and I just felt my thought was that maybe you should just run it as long as you can, and when run on the mediums as long as you can, and just battle Lando. Don't worry about you're not going to catch the other guys, so let's just focus on your championship.
Yeah.
But as it turned out, they didn't. They pitted. They went the safe route. The car obviously started to give out. Max did a great job of defending for 10 laps. Came down to turn 12. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Lando tried to go around the outside,
Yep.
it's just that's a tough spot to do that, because you're going to run out of room. And Max, look, he was the lead car. He can track out. It's there was no overlap. I don't know, so Lando went for it, fine, and went off the track, gunned it past Max. I mean, at that point, you got it. There was, he was going to have to get the position back. Why on the wall? And this is where McLaren shoots themselves in the foot consistently. They should have just told. They should have told Lando, get the position back and then attack. It was clear he had the faster car.
Yeah.
And, play it safe, give it back. You still had 4 laps to, do it. And they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just start arguing with the FIA saying this, and this. And it's like, he didn't have overlap. He ran off. Max ran it out. He was fine. And, so of course, they finished the race. It comes down 1 lap to go. You got a 5-second penalty. He's only 3 seconds ahead.
Yeah.
It's just this like, I mean, you just, and then the telltale was when they finished, Lando, we had a 5-second penalty, and he goes, well, I should have just given the position back.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's incumbent upon them to tell him that, probably should, he probably wants to give it back, but if he does it, like, they'll scream at him. But like, this is where that team is, they're lost. They don't know how to help the drivers.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
A few comments on all this. First thing, if I don't mind a team if they're just going to overtake illegally like that, and then they think that they have enough time to pull away and negate the penalty that's going to come their way, because Verstappen's done it before. So it's a doable strategy, but they left it too late. If he was going to do that, he should have done it a few laps earlier when he had the chance, and just taken it for what it was and been done with it. Because I think he could have done it if he did it a couple laps earlier. Second bit, I will give the fact that Norris was ahead of Verstappen going into the braking zone, but then by the time they reached the apex, Verstappen was ahead.
Because he was on the inside line. He was on the faster line.
That, and he just dove it into the corner.
Yeah.
You could tell they both got onto the brakes around the same time, but Verstappen rolled the car into the corner quicker.
Yeah.
And it was clear he was not leaving room at that point for Norris on the outside because of the speed he was carrying.
Right.
So this just brings up... So then from that point, because then you watch Anthony Davidson's take on the whole thing, and he goes through the same process of, okay, well, now Lando's behind at the apex, and at the exit of the corner, he then overtakes Verstappen, so he did it off the track. Hence, that ruling. All right, fine. Like, it makes sense from that rules standpoint. However, you're now just letting exactly what Verstappen is exploiting, which is, as long as I beat you to the apex, I don't care what speed either one of us is traveling. If the corner is like 60-mile-an-hour corner, but you're 10 car lengths back and you chuck it into the corner and you get to exit and you get to the apex first, but your speed is 100 miles an hour, then you have the corner. They have not. I have never seen the stewards rule against the driver that's gotten to the apex first,
First, right?
regardless of their speed and
Yeah.
how under control they are. Because it was the same deal with, or the extreme example of this was Brazil of 21 between Max and Lewis, where Lewis overtakes Verstappen. They go down the S's, and then it's that short straight down. Lewis overtakes Verstappen. Verstappen then just chucks it in there, runs both of them clearly off, and but he's carrying so much speed that he was never going to make the corner. He just was trying to make Lewis flinch at that point.
Yeah.
So nothing will change until they make a judgment call in the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is they've sided with this rule of whoever gets the apex first wins the corner, and then and then they have this other crazy rule of you can do whatever you want. This is where I differ on I guess race etiquette at this point. Like, if I run a guy out to the wall or to the side of the track and I didn't clear him, personally, I wouldn't be shocked if I get hooked because I just ran the guy off the road and the guy doesn't want to go off the road either.
Fair point.
But that's the difference between, I'll say it, between racing here in the U.S. and racing over there in Europe. In Europe, it seems very common to, as long as it's your corner, you can run the guy off. There is no such thing as making a pass around the outside because no one leaves you the room to do it. And I think it's kind of a foolish argument to say, or point to make that, well, it's risky making a move on the outside. I'm like, of course it is. Like, you're already limiting yourself on the amount of room you have to track out on the corner, and you're also putting faith on the guy on the inside to not run you into the wall. But on the same point too, like, if you're the guy on the inside of the corner, you have to trust that the guy on the outside isn't just going to come and steer right down into you.
Right.
Because if the guy on the outside is at the apex first, in terms of the nose being ahead, but the guy is doing that on the outside, then he can theoretically turn into you because it's his corner.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to look at how to rule in the opposite direction, because right now they're just letting Max get away with whatever he wants to do at this point, and rightfully so, because Verstappen is the only one trying this stuff. I am not, to be clear, I am not against any of this that he is trying to do, because he's been doing it ever since he started challenging Lewis for race wins when it was Red Bull and Mercedes all the time in 2019, 2020. And I think it's perfectly fine, because until they put a rule in and rule the opposite way, it is always going to go in his favor, because the stewards aren't challenging him, and more importantly, none of the other drivers are standing up to him. He already has the mental advantage over everyone on this grid, because he can just chuck it down the inside, know that you're going to back out of it, and that's that.
Yep, well, I agree.
So that's the rant, and I mean, until someone wants to, what I thought, and it's not that Norris could really afford it, but what he should have done, in my opinion, was stick to his line on the outside there, not move out, and if Verstappen ran into him, he ran into him, and then just sit there and say, I'm on the track, and he ran into me. At that point, then you've made a point to Verstappen or whoever else that it is, that you're not going to take shit and be bullied off the track. I mean, that's half of it. All right. Anyways,
Yeah. Anyways, rant over.
rant over.
So Charles takes the win.
Sorry, and one last thing. Put gravel on the outside of the track. Enough of the crazy.
Yeah, I was
stuff.
gonna come back to that.
Yeah,
So Charles takes the win with Carlos second. Max takes third. Lando gets bumped down to fourth. So bad weekend for Lando. Lost out in the sprint, then lost out here. Is now in a position where he needs to score 11 points more than Max per race. Whereas had he just beaten Max this weekend, it would have been in the 9-point range. So
yeah, I mean it's still a tall order, but it's not like Verstappen's really safe.
If he has,
because if Verstappen has one bad weekend, it can get blown up in his face.
And let's just say we go to Mexico. And, the Red Bull's somewhat competitive depending on the tires. Obviously, we're at altitude. See where that goes. And let's just say Max has a weekend. I'm going to just say this. After this race, I'm not going to say that Max clinched it, but it's going to be very difficult for Lando to come back from it.
Mm-hmm.
Given with the sprint races still yet to come.
Yeah, and I mean the last few tracks too. I don't know. I think really Brazil, Vegas last year was Ferrari was strong at Vegas.
Yeah,
so,
I think they're going to be strong again. Yeah,
that's the thing there. Qatar could be McLaren favored track maybe, and then Abu Dhabi is Red Bull's done very well there over the last few seasons. So I mean, again, that's just typically a strong track for them. So the number of chances for Lando and McLaren to progress, yes, is winding down, but it's not like Mercedes and Ferrari can't perform at either of these tracks too. So
right. In terms of the rest of the finishing order, Piastri finished behind Lando, Russell, Sergio, Hulkenberg, and then Liam, and then Colapinto gets points for Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Good weekend for Haas, though. Scored points in the double points in the sprint, and then scored 4 more points in the final race. Ferrari with the 1-2 here is setting itself up for a massive run to overhaul Red Bull and to overhaul McLaren.
Yeah.
Assuming if the pace of the car is as it is. So congrats to them. They do stand a good chance of competing for the manufacturer's title. Let's just go back to last point you made on your rant there. The easiest way to solve all this crap is to put gravel. Yeah.
And I get at some of these tracks,
the safety aspect. I get the safety aspect, but
yeah, I mean, there's a safety aspect, but there's also MotoGP that will race at these tracks too.
No, right.
But I think turn 12.
The point being that's the only deterrent. Either that or you put spikes out there. I mean, seriously. You put pavement, guys are going to go there, and that's what's happening.
I think
we've talked about it enough times, I think.
Yeah, and I think a good example for gravel at turn 12 would be something similar to how like turn 1 Baku is, where when you go into your braking zone, anything like straight ahead, sure, leave it paved and run off. So if you really miss the braking point, it's just straight, right? But when you make the turn around the corner, throw gravel on that end.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's going over there. Or I'm sorry, if you are going over there, you're either one, wildly out of control, or two, you're carrying too much speed into the corner under a normal scenario, and you've missed it. So.
Oh, makes sense. All right. So we're off to Mexico.
Yes.
So we shall see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just quickly, let's just talk about the LMS. They wrapped up their season at Portimao in a 4-hour race. It was a great race. Unfortunately, finished under a yellow at the end. But Cool Racing took the win, followed by the AO by TF Racing Team, TF Sport Racing Team, and then Cool Racing was third. That was in LMP2, LMP3. Cool Racing wins again. It was a big weekend for them. And then in GT3, it was not Cool Racing. It was the Iron Lynx who passed the Iron Dames car.
Yeah.
In the last corner. That was heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
That was too bad.
It
once
was,
again,
but
great season there.
It was a great finish. I mean,
just sent it.
Penultimate corner, put it down there, and also the. I mean, I guess it was a little bit unfortunate about the leading LMP2, the overall winner in the LMP2 class, coming around to pass him. So
right,
they weren't on the last lap, but coming around the final corner, they were now on the last lap. But that's just how multi-class racing works.
that final caution set up the finish, so it was a good race.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that pretty much closes out a lot of the sports car racing for the year. We just have the WEC race left. So looking, and that'll close out most of the sports car racing for the year.
Yeah. But don't forget this weekend MX5s at Martinsville.
MX5. The last big sports car race coming up besides that is Macau with the GT3 cars, which is always just a fun time.
Yeah.
All right. In terms of news and notes, there's not a whole lot out there.
No, I mean it is also.
Since we last visited these airways, so I think we're all good there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so why don't we do our picks for Mexico?
Yes.
All right.
Nate has got his picks in.
Uh-huh.
Also, we've gotten word that Nate might be back soon.
Very exciting.
But Nate has gone with Lando to win at Mexico.
Okay.
He has gone with Charles to finish runner-up and Sainz on third. So again, Ferrari running. He's predicting another good finish for Ferrari. And then he has gone with Colapinto for his dark horse.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I am going to go with I'm going to go with I hate doing this, but I'm going to pick Charles. This might be the kiss of death for him. I'm going to pick Max to finish second. I'm going to pick Carlos to finish third. And my dark horse is going to be Hulkenberg.
Carlos, Max, Sainz, Hulk. Okay. All right.
No, Charles. Yeah, Charles, Max, Sainz. Yeah.
I am gonna go. Hamilton first. Man. Hamilton first. Max second.
Mm-hmm.
No. Sainz second.
Okay.
And LeClerc third.
All right.
Dark horse. I think I gotta go Lawson at this point. So.
All right.
But I'm just looking at my picks from last week. Yeah, I picked Hamilton to win last week, and I think the note that we made was he was either going to do great or just absolutely horrendous. And
Yeah, it was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah. So I think the one thing that none of us really bet on last week was if they really are flying under the radar, they'll probably do really well, which has seemed to be their trend, is Ferrari. But
yes.
But now, after looking at our picks, we've picked Ferrari to be on the podium, do a double podium. So I think we've just done the kiss of death to that.
What happened?
All three of us have picked both Ferrari drivers to be on the podium in some capacity.
So last weekend and this weekend?
No. For this weekend in Mexico.
Ooh.
So
Interesting.
I think we've probably just put the curse on Ferrari.
You think?
Yeah. Not that they can't do it. But I also, I mean, where's the
I was kind of basing it on. I just don't think the Mercedes engine is that good there, so kind of why I went with the Ferraris and then the Honda.
Well, I mean, you say that, but last year, Verstappen won the race by 13 seconds over Lewis, and then another 10 seconds back was LeClerc, and then Sainz.
Yeah, but didn't the Ferraris tangle with people?
I don't know. But just looking at the other thing too, or trend, I guess, if you want to really do some kind of dive into it, is that Ferrari has not won back-to-back this season yet either. So again, can they do what Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari have done this year? And I had one. Oh yes, I found a list of reserve drivers that have tested this year. So the rule is you need two. So every F1 driver must skip an FP1 session. But that so every driver on the grid has to miss one FP1 session. The ruling that I found is a little odd is you can use the same reserve driver for the team to go into the car both times if you want, which Haas and Alpine have done that with Behrman and Jack Doohan. So they're the only two teams that have fulfilled their quota of 2 sessions for both drivers.
Got it.
Ferrari, McLaren, and Aston have not done either driver yet, but McLaren will tick that off this weekend. And I'm with Pato, and then I don't know of anyone else. That leaves everyone else with one more practice session left to do it. But the interesting note is that Williams will probably have to find someone new because their reserve driver that they used at the British Grand Prix was Colapinto.
Gotcha.
So they'll have to find someone else to drive that car. And then I guess the other interesting point is, will Ferrari probably put Behrman into their car for both sessions? Because I would imagine that they would want to get him some seat time before next year too. So, but yeah, that's that rundown. I guess we kind of, or we touched on it once, but the number of power unit allocations is also something to keep an eye on. And Lawson took the hit this race and took like a 60-place grid penalty to replace just about everything. So he should be good to the end of the season. However, with that said, focusing more on the title fight, everyone else is pretty much at their limit on key components. So if anyone has to take an extra one, there will be a grid penalty assessed with it.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I don't know when or if that might happen, but there could be grid penalties to watch out for.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah.
Good news there. All right. So we have NASCAR next weekend,
Homestead,
and then we have Formula One in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Supercars is at Gold Coast, and
That's right. MX5's at Martinsville.
Yes, MX5's at Martinsville. Tour Modifieds at.
Hey, if you can, do you think they'll have the link for the YouTube channel?
They are going to be on YouTube.
So can you link that in our thing this week?
Ooh, I will try and add that
as part of our post-production work.
If not, I will just make a post on the day of and share
Excellent.
It then, because that'll be good.
That would be fantastic.
So, all right.
And on that note,
good night.
Thank you guys for listening to the Red Mist Podcast, hosted by Christian Abbott, Sean Abbott, and Nathan Lavin. It's produced by Christian Abbott, and music is by Alex Wart and Harrison Tate.